Starting and running a business is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're an established business owner or thinking about starting a side hustle to earn extra income, I am here to teach you how to show up as your unfiltered self, level up your business, and thrive as a mompreneur. Let's embrace the chaos and start enjoying the journey together. I'm Amy Traw, and you're listening to the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Welcome back into the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. You guys, you were in for such a treat today. I have Scottie with me, and she is just the queen of all things making mom life easier. And I am so excited for this conversation today because she is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. There's no other words than that. So with that being said, Scottie, welcome into the podcast.
You're so sweet. Thank you for that. We don't hear enough that we're amazing, and we're all amazing, right? We need to tell everybody in our life how amazing they are. Thank you so much for having me on. This is a real honor. I adore you. I am so thankful for all the work that you put out and how you pour into the community. You know, moms really need other moms to go first, and you are doing that in such an impactful way. So this is such an honor to be here. Thank you. My name is Scottie. I am a mom mentor. I am a mom of 3. I am an athlete. I am a life coach. I'm a wife. I'm a friend. I'm all sorts of things. And that took me a long time to say. For a long time, I would just say, hi, I'm Scottie. I'm a mom. And now I have really started to show up and make sure that we realize as moms that mom is just a role. It is not who we are. It is not an identity. And it's easy to get lost in that. So my mission and passion is really to help moms remember who they are in motherhood, so that they can feel so confident to bring that unique identity to motherhood, because that's actually what the kids want more than anything. They don't care how perfect the laundry is folded, how amazing their lunchbox looks. They want to be with you. And so that has really been driving my passion, is to just help moms bring themselves back into motherhood. So thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to dive into this because so many things you just said in your introduction just resonated so much, because we tend to get wrapped up in the identity of being quote unquote just a mom. And that becomes our identity. And then we don't know, like, who am I outside of motherhood? And that's a very real thing that a lot of us don't even realize. We've taken on this role in our lives. And that then impacts our relationship with our spouse, with our children. And it all comes down to communication. And communication is something that, I don't know. I know for me, I like to assume that my husband can read my mind, but I know he doesn't. So we really try and make sure we stay on the same page. But communication really is key to thriving as a mom. What's your take?
I cannot agree more. And just like you said, it is so easy and normal. There's no shame in getting caught up into the survival mode of motherhood, right? We move into motherhood, we're being told, your life is over. Now you're here for them. And that should make you happy. You know, what a blessing it is to have children. You now have everything that you've ever needed and wanted, right?
Yeah.
And so then you move into motherhood, you're so insecure, you don't know what you're doing. And it's, you're really more thinking, how am I going to make it through the next 2 hours? You're not even thinking, how do I feel? What do I want? How am I doing? And so what happens is we lose our voice, and we get out of the habit of using our voice. And we really start to pride ourselves on what we're doing rather than how we're feeling and what we're saying. And this inevitably just puts this kind of protective shield up, this protective barrier that I can do this on my own. I'm the only one that the kids want. I don't need help, and it's survival, right? Like I said, and understandably, we don't know what we're doing. We're literally living in fight or flight. And so fast forward, my kids are a lot older. They're 16, 14, and 10, 11. It took me a long time to realize I was not speaking. The same way they say when you're doing sit-ups or holding a plank, they have to remind you to breathe. And you're like, oh, right. I wasn't breathing. So much of motherhood, I was not speaking, and I was not asking for, what do I want? What do I need? How am I doing? Just checking in with myself. And I realized that was not only putting up a block between my husband and me, and it was really pulling me away from him. It was doing the same thing to my kids. And I was starting to just really emotionally pull away from them and just starting to live all on my own. I was an island. And, until I started finding my voice again, that was only getting more and more remote. And so I agree with you. Communication it's the foundation. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable and sharing that part of your journey because so
Mhm.
many of us can relate to that. But we have been taught to, we bury these emotions. We're like, no, I can do it all myself. And that's a sign of weakness if I'm not doing all of the things exactly like you described. And you said, just simply checking in with ourselves is so important.
Mhm.
How do we begin that process? I mean, is that something that we need to like schedule time for each day? Or how does a mom that's feeling this really resonating with everything you're saying, where does she even start?
Such a great question. And first of all, it doesn't have to be radical. I think a lot of times moms think that they have to completely change how they're showing up and what their entire day looks like in order to feel better. But I have found even just when I wake up in the morning, if I don't look at my phone first thing and I actually just talk to myself first thing, it just elevates my energy and I start to have a better connection with myself. And that's such a good point. I'm saying we need to communicate with the people in our lives. We are also in our own life, right? And so we need to make sure that we're communicating with ourselves. That's step one. And I think it's almost just waking up in the morning and saying, "How you doing, Scottie? Did you get enough sleep? How do you need some water? You need to go to the bathroom? How about some coffee?" It's almost just having a conversation with yourself and giving yourself this opportunity to respond, right? I think with moms, it's so often we wake up and we're clocked in immediately, right? We're jumping out of bed. We're frantic trying to get the kids ready for the day. We're also trying to, make sure that the dogs are fed and we're making the beds and, we have the permission slip in hand. And so it's like we never get a moment to just be. So I would say if you're resonating with what Amy and I are saying, just before you even get out of the bed, don't look at your phone and just open your eyes and just say, "Hey, how are you doing today? How are you feeling?" And just do a body scan, head, chest, heart, hands, just go do a body check. And then that really starts those conversations, those juices up again.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's so easy to do because
Okay.
it's habit. We're in the habit of waking up and
Yeah.
just going, getting
Yeah.
into that reactive mode, which trips off that fight or flight mode. But I
Yeah.
love what you're saying. Just take a minute
60
and check
seconds.
in. Yes. While
Yeah.
you're still in bed,
You're
literally
still in
nothing else is happening yet.
bed.
Take this time for you.
Yeah.
And I love something else you said too. Give yourself the opportunity to respond. Because
Mhm.
I think as moms, we get into such a hustle mode that we forget. We forget to do that check in
Yeah.
and then really like assess, okay, how am I feeling?
Yeah.
Giving ourselves that opportunity to respond. I
Yeah.
think that right there is a huge game changer versus, okay, head, chest, hands. All right, I'm good. Let's go get the
Yeah.
dogs. Let's
Yes.
go, get the kids out of bed. We need to get out of that reactive mode because what we're doing, we're modeling then these behaviors for our kids, right?
100%. 100%. It also, what I have found that when I give myself 30 seconds, even, it can be less than 60 seconds. When I even just ask the one question, "How you feeling? How did I sleep last night?" You just kind of take stock of, "I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling content. I'm feeling, you kind of understand." Then you have this connection to yourself before you've even come into contact with your kids and your husband or your partner. And then you realize, oh gosh, all this tension, that's not mine. I didn't bring that into the room. And when you check on yourself and you feel seen and heard and understood by the most important person in your life, yourself, you don't roll into the first interaction with your family in fight or flight. And as moms, we set the tone for the energy in the house. So if it's hard to even imagine giving yourself 30 seconds, go a little bit beyond and think about the ripple effect. If you were to roll into the kitchen, not in fight or flight, and a little bit more calm, how do you think that's going to affect your kids? Versus what if you did jump up super stressed and you didn't have an idea of how you were feeling and you were very reactive? That can help motivate moms to try something new when they realize, oh my gosh, it goes so far beyond me. But that it really is powerful, those 30 seconds, especially at the start of the day.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about mom setting the tone in the house because when mom's angry and not happy, everybody else is grumpy and reactive. And Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I can even like picture this as taking opportunities throughout the day. Just like
Yes.
putting little post-its different places to check in. Like put it on the bathroom mirror,
Love
or
that.
on your in your car somewhere because we forget to do this. And it is that absolute ripple effect. I mean, I'm thinking back to I have a very strong-willed little lady in my life. She is 9, and yeah, if I try and force her to do something. If we go head to head, I mean, it's just like a battle of willpower there. But when
Yeah.
I just maintain my calm composure, eventually she calms down as well. So it's
Mhm.
really a perfect example of exactly what you're saying, that we set the tone and she's not always going to be happy with me. But if I can maintain that calm composure, that's really going to help her as well learn how to navigate some of those big emotions that she's feeling. So,
100%.
yeah, once we've developed this pattern and this habit of checking in with ourselves and realizing, you know what, I need to ask for help. There's certain things I need to ask for help with, but I
Mhm.
don't know how. I don't
Mhm.
know how to communicate that to my spouse, to my children. What advice can you offer there?
I just say I totally understand. It is hard when you've been out of practice using your voice, and it's okay to feel it's okay to hesitate, and it's okay to feel a little scared. But if you can find that one person in your life that you feel the most safe with, the most comfortable with. And for me, a little story, I had my laundry basket epiphany where I had just lived in chronic burnout and chronic exhaustion and stress for far too long. My body finally gave out on me. And I didn't have this awareness that I had not been communicating. My body shut down for me. And the first thing I did was I said, I need to tell my husband. And I just came out and said, I'm not happy. I'm not doing well. I'm not asking you to solve it. I just need you to know. I'm going to be working on it. And he said, great. I mean, it was a very hard, scary conversation, but it's exercising a muscle. So I say if you can identify that one person in your life and just try it even 1% more than what you did yesterday. It doesn't have to be radical. It's can you take out the trash? Can you help me get the kids to bed? Can you give me 5 minutes? Can you put the baby to bed? If I pump the bottle, can you feed the baby tonight so I can have 5 minutes alone to take a shower? Right? All of these things, even if your kids are old enough, get your kids involved in that. But if you go to the gym and do a bunch of sit-ups, you don't get a six pack that day. You have to keep going back and keep trying and keep trying. Exercising your voice is the same thing. So just give yourself this chance that I'm going to try 1% today and I'm going to try 1% tomorrow. It's these small little efforts that really is what compounds into all of a sudden the voice just is practiced. And then it becomes easier and easier. And talk about a role model for your kids, especially a daughter, to see her mom use her voice and ask for things she wants and needs, and she'll start to get it. And to witness that whole transaction, it's incredible. So yes, but I get it. It's scary. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, but it takes practice. And just
Yeah,
like any skill, it's a skill that we can develop. We can
absolutely.
learn. And a lot of times I feel like as moms, we build these conversations up. We like to assume that people are going to react in a certain way so we don't have them. But I
100%.
love your practice of going for the 1%,
Yeah.
doing that next little thing, because a lot of times we assume that our husbands see everything that's right in front of them. A lot of times they don't. You just have to be blatant and, hey, you know what? I really need to get this done. Could you help me, unload the dishwasher? Could you help me with this? Even our kids are so much more capable than we give them credit for.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I still remember your story was your laundry basket epiphany. Mine was the lunch epiphany. I remember when my kids were in kindergarten and second grade, and I went, "Why am I packing their lunches every single night? Why can't I teach them how to do this?" And I did it. And yes, at first there was jelly everywhere. It was a mess. But now it's taken that thing off of my plate. I hate packing lunches. I don't know what it is about it. I just despise it.
Yeah, I
But
get it. I
right.
get it.
We empowered them. I taught them how. Yes, it took a little bit of effort, but it freed up that time and energy for me to focus on something else. I'm interrupting this episode to share an incredible networking opportunity that happens every single Monday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join us for coffee talk and meet and collaborate with other mompreneurs just like you. Networking has grown my business by leaps and bounds, and I would love to share this opportunity with you. All the details can be found in our show notes. Now back to the show.
Absolutely. And feel supported. I love your point. They are so much more capable. And here's what's also so true. They want to help.
Yes.
Your family wants to be included. They want to be privy to what it is you're going through and what you need. Nobody wants you to huff and puff around the kitchen, slamming cabinets and bitching under your breath and being resentful and passive aggressive. They would so much rather say, give me the information. In fact, quick story. We have 2 dogs, incredibly hairy, and there's always like tumbleweaves full of dog hair rolling around the floor, no matter how many times I vacuum. And I was sitting on the sofa with my husband, and I just made some passive aggressive comment about, gosh, I wish that the dog hair would just get vacuumed up. And he said, time out, time out. He's like, I need you to be clear. Are we just making a comment and observing the hair on the floor? Or would you like me to stand up and vacuum? Because it's going to be a whole lot quicker if you just tell me what it is you want, and then I can go back to watching football. I was like, oh, right. That's easier for you and me. If I just tell you what it is I want, we're both doing better. And I think that's also for a mom to realize asking for help is actually incredibly brave. And it shows a lot of self-awareness and a lot of connection and unity with your family. It doesn't mean that you're weak. And I think that your family will respond to it. They're so capable. They want to be a part of the team. They want to help. They want you to want to be in the house with them, right? And so if you feel more supported and more loved and appreciated and more seen and heard, you're going to want to be in the house and spend time with your family more. So it works out for everybody so much better.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And it's not easy at first. There is that learning curve with
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
But I found when I gave my kids choices too, they
Nice.
really were able to pick things that they enjoyed doing because my one kid, she loves helping with the laundry. Absolutely loves it. The other kid doesn't want a thing to do with the laundry, but she's like, I can help you with the dishes. Can I do that? And it's like,
Nice.
absolutely, you can. So just finding different ways in your day to include them in the things that you're doing. I mean, even if you have a toddler, they can help you turn socks back the right side out, if they got washed inside out, or there's so many little things that we can give
Yes.
them. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. It really builds that team dynamic, that communication. And when we're just straightforward with what we need and we have that self-awareness, gosh, think about how much lighter the load
Yes.
of life gets.
Oh, that's it. That's it. It is so much lighter. I love that word. And that it's so much more, you feel so much relief. You can almost just like deep breathe and feel your shoulders relax a little bit because you're not carrying everything on them anymore. I love that. Yeah, get your toddler. They can help bring in a cereal box from the car to the kitchen, right? There's so many ways to get the kids involved. Yes, I love that message.
Exactly. Now, how do you address when we tell our kids to do something? The
Mhm.
nagging, like, okay, Scotty, I hear what you're saying. This is awesome. But when I'm like communicating with my kids, when I think I'm telling them exactly what I need help with and they're not helping me, how
Mhm.
do we address those communication challenges?
Well, first, I would say, where are you telling them in their day? I think tone and timing really has a massive impact, especially on a child. I think a lot of times when we are peppering them with questions or chores, they just start to zone away. And I think they can also feel like they're being attacked. There's no stress. You're not doing anything wrong. But if you feel like your words are not landing and you're thinking, gosh, nobody hears, is there anybody here?
Yes.
Are the words coming out of my mouth? One thing that I found has worked really, really well for our family is this plan I've created. It's called Sunday Sync. And every Sunday we sit down as a family. My family already knows that this is happening. And this started when my youngest was young. He doesn't even have a calendar. He still was sitting at the table. But we get together. Everybody has a moment to tell the family what they're going through, what they've got on their plate, what does their week look like? When are soccer practices? When's baseball? When's the permission slip due? When's Pajama Friday? And then we all go around, and then that's a chance for us to say, great, who wants to raise their hand and handle garbage this week? Who wants to raise their hand and help mom with the laundry? And so then it feels like we're working together as a unit versus the mom standing over the kid and talking down or kind of getting all heated, right? Because it's usually in the moment that we are trying to mom, right? Which is
Yeah.
totally. I also found that I have a lot more success when I am eye level with my kids. So I'll go and actually, if I need to kneel down, I'll do that and look at my son face to face, or I'll sit on my teenage daughter's bed and I'll just come and actually speak to her. And I have found that they receive it more when they feel. Kids also want to feel seen, heard, understood, and respected, just like we do. And I think there's a language that you learn, and each kid is probably going to be different. But if you feel like the way you're doing it, it's not really landing, ask your kid, how do you want mom to give you your chores for the week? Or how do you want to interact with mom? What works best for you? What time of day? And, so my teenage son, he likes it when we're driving in the car by ourselves. And I just, give him a rundown of what's going on. So it's okay if the first approach doesn't work and you need to try a different approach. And it might actually change as your kids get older, and that's okay too.
I love all of that because, yeah, we don't even realize how we're coming off to our kids. A lot of times we are talking down to them because just by nature of
We're
height,
taller.
we're adults, they're kids, we're taller than them. So, really getting down onto an even playing field can make
Mhm.
a world of a difference. Speak to your kids like you want to be spoken to. I mean, it's as simple
Absolutely.
as that because yeah, we get stuck in the heat of the moment.
We do.
It's when everybody's hungry or tired and then nothing goes to plan. I
Mhm.
mean, when I'm hungry and tired, I don't respond well to conversations and requests
Yeah.
as well because you're focused on those primal needs. I
Yeah.
want to be fed right now. I need
Yeah.
rest right now. So
Yeah.
I
But I
love
will
that. What
say
a
this, you're not going to lose your leadership position when you get face to face with your child because you're the one that's navigating the conversation. And so I think if there's a fear that you need to maintain that level of authority, the authority is there,
yeah.
right? And
Oh, absolutely.
to your point too, when we're reactive, there's and we're trying to, they haven't picked up their wet towel for the 13th time that morning. Sometimes there's 35 different things that have led up to that conversation. And so maybe just even check, is this the right time? Is
Yeah.
this the right time to have this conversation? Or will it be more effective and a better use of my energy if I handle this when the tone and the timing is going to be less stressful?
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that you guys have a family planning meeting each week
Mm.
too, because that's something that we've started doing probably within the last maybe 3 years, ever since COVID. It was such a game changer. And I know if you're listening to this and you're going, I don't have the time for that. Try it. Give it a couple weeks trial. And for us, we even came up with like our vision, our values, our goals,
That.
our roles and responsibilities because if we can all be part of this team,
Love
oh my
that.
gosh, that just makes life so much easier. And like you said, it all goes back to communication. You know
Mm.
what's coming up, what to expect, and it just makes life happen so much more seamlessly because life
Absolutely.
is busy. It's crazy. It's chaotic. There's some nights when it's like, okay, we have a night next week where we had to figure out parent teacher conferences. We have swim practice. We have to drop the kid off at swim practice to get to parent teacher conferences. Can we get parent teacher conferences back to back for both kids and then get back to swim practice in time to pick up the kid? What are we going to do with the other kid? It's a lot. It's
Lot.
navigating all of this. But that's why, as moms, we are masters of strategic planning,
Mhm.
figuring this out. And that is one of our superpowers. But we can't do it alone.
No.
Just because we can does not mean we should.
Love it. Love it.
Right.
And I understand that feeling of not knowing how you're going to find the time to sit down. When you get this Sunday planning or, the Sunday sync is what I like to call it, it doesn't even take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It is so fast. We have 5 people in our family. Each person gets a minute and talk about when you get everybody hears what's going on. Sometimes my husband will say, I can help with that. I didn't know that was on your plate. Let me pick up from baseball. Let me do this. And then it also creates that autonomy and the accountability where if my daughter says she has to babysit on Friday, I'm not the only one that has to remember that. So if you feel like as a mom, you have to hold everyone's schedules in your head. You don't. You just have to create some systems. And once you do, you will have more time in your week. You will have more energy. You will stop feeling like you're repeating yourself, and you will start feeling more supported. That's going to give you so much relief. You're going to have an extra 10 minutes. All of a sudden, you're gonna be like, what am I supposed to do at this time? So it's probably one of the fastest ROIs, I think, that a mom, besides a good night's sleep,
Definitely.
but
Yes, definitely. A good night's sleep is always worth it. But yeah, for us, we incorporate it during our Sunday dinner.
I
While
love
we're
it.
eating, we're already sitting down, we're already together. We just incorporate it then. So it's just finding what works best for your family. And
Mhm.
that's the really cool thing about the era that we're living in. There are so many different ways that you can get everyone on the same page. Maybe
Mhm.
you're a visual person and you want the dry erase board in the kitchen. That's awesome. If everybody's a little more tech savvy and you want to go the app route, there are so many different options available. And
Cool.
it's just a matter of figuring out what works for you and your family. And
Yeah.
like you said, it'll evolve, as your kids get older, as you grow and move through different seasons of life.
I love that. It's so true. And your kids will, I love that you sat down and discussed your values and your goals and your dreams and your wishes, because that your kids walk out of your house with those messages. And so I know as moms, we're constantly worried, is my kid being polite? Are they using their manners? Are they remembering everything I taught them? Are they doing what I said? And you can just almost trust when you have this beautiful connection where you're sitting down with your family and you're supporting each other as a team, you're coming together. There is a bond that is uniting each of you, and that doesn't disappear when the kids walk out the door. They are walking around with that energy and that support and that love and those values. It just becomes a part of who they are. And I think it's really, I love that message so much.
Yeah. And it all comes down to communication.
Yes.
Communication with your spouse, with your loved ones, with your children, communication with your family. Start speaking up, really exercising that muscle. Check
Mhm.
in with yourself and get in tune with what you need. It can get easier. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, you definitely need to get into Scottie's world. Scottie, where can we learn more about you? All of the things. Tell us about your podcast and socials, and just please share with us.
You're so sweet. Thank you. Yes, I'm mostly on Instagram, which is at Scottie Durrett. I show up every day just trying to pour into our mamas and help make that day better. I have a podcast called the Momplex Podcast. I drop 2 episodes a week, and it's really like this. It's just a super honest, organic conversation. It's as if you and I are sitting in the car grabbing a coffee together, and we're just trying to support each other and help end mommy martyrdom. And then I do one-on-one coaching. I know that it's sometimes a lot of the things you and I are sharing, it sounds great, but there's so many, how do I implement that? What does that really look like in my unique life? And so I think finding the support that allows you to start to try some of these new habits in a way that feels easy and fun and fits into your family. So the one-on-one mentorship is really transformational. And that's what I help my mamas do.
Amazing. Scottie, you are incredible. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to pour into our listeners today.
Really appreciate being here. Thank you.
And until next time, mamas, stop dreaming and start taking messy action. You've got this. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.